Hello, hello, hello. Happy Sunday and happy first full week of January. First full week of the year coming up here. Made it through the holidays, made it through Christmas, made it through New Year's. I know for a lot of people, December and the beginning of January can be really busy. For other people, it can be the opposite. Wide range of things, and I like to acknowledge that. So we are now on the other side of the holidays. I hope that everybody has had wonderful days and had a wonderful weekend. We have a couple different transits to talk about, a couple sign changes to talk about this week. So that's what we're going to do for this week. You may notice that we have a green candle here instead of a white one. Usually the candles are white, blank slate, purity, clarity, cleansing. But today here in my household, we had a little bit of a sad day, a sad moment. Our hamster that we've had for almost 2 years passed away today. I have two little girls, they're 5 and 7, and this is the first pet that they have lost. So it's been a very interesting day here, lots of talking about all of those things, and after we buried him in the backyard, I asked my daughter if she wanted to light a candle for him, and of course she did. So I let her go through my box of candles and pick out a color she wanted, and she picked green. So we burned a green candle earlier for him, and I just kind of thought in honor of our pet, as well as in honor of my daughter and what she's going through right now. I thought we would continue on with green. So if it's okay for you, all of you, we're going to use green today instead of white. So we're going to get right into it. I'm going to put up the intention in case you haven't seen it before. So for those of you that may be joining us on Instagram, second week that we've streamed to Instagram, in addition to Facebook and YouTube. So welcome those of you that are new around here. Each week the intention is posted on Saturday, so that way you have a little time to sit with it yourself before we meet for meditation on Sunday. You can always find the intention on the Facebook page, the Instagram page, as well as Meditative Astrology website, so meditativeastrology.com. Those are the three places you can find the intention. I like to give you a little time to sit with it yourself, just to see what comes up. The intention is always astrologically guided, so looking at the transits, looking at the placements, looking at the movements and the discussions that are going on in the sky, and then coming to a conclusion, which is an intention for us to share within the meditation. And it's a broad spectrum phrase that in some way or another can apply to all of us in very, very varying ways. I always try to keep it a little bit broad, but focused at the same time. So this week, our intention is motivating perspectives can shift. Motivating perspectives can shift. So in case this is the first time that you are hearing the intention, I want to give you a couple minutes to sit with that and just see what comes up. See how it makes you feel, what makes you think about. Does the intention make you excited? Does it make you a little bit nervous? Does it make you a little bit anxious? Motivating perspectives can shift. And we sure do have some shifts this week. 2 sign changes to be exact. Motivating perspectives can shift. Hi Nikita, thank you. Yeah, pets they're a part of our lives and a part of our home and a part of our family, no matter how big or how small. And that little hamster was very, very, very sweet, and he definitely knew who we all were, and things like that. So there's a space that's missing here at the moment with that. Motivating perspectives can shift. So we're going to talk about this week. First, before we talk about the transits and the sign changes, actually we have Mars moving back to Cancer and we have Mercury moving to the sign of Capricorn. I just want to pull up the chart here for just a moment. We've just recently started doing this as well. So this is the chart of the moment for where I am. So this is Eastern Time, 8:34 p.m. Eastern Time in my location. So the chart may look a little bit different depending on where you are. But what I want to bring focus to right now is I want to bring focus to the moon. So right now the moon is at 3 degrees of Aries. You can find it in the 9th house in this chart. So if you look at the numbers that, if you're not familiar with looking at a chart, you can quickly find the ninth house by looking at the numbers on the inner ring, finding the number 9, and that's going to be the ninth house. It's up towards the top. And then you see the crescent moon shape, and that's the glyph for the moon on the solar fire program. Now what I want to point out is all of the planets that the moon has made aspect to this weekend. So the moon moved into the sign of Pisces late Friday night into early Saturday morning. And look at all of the planets that the moon has made an aspect to over the weekend through Saturday and Sunday. If we move from the position of the moon and we move like counterclockwise, so backwards zodiacally, the first little symbol that you'll see is the black symbol with the little horseshoe shape with the 2 circles at the bottom. That is the north node. My kids call it the headphones on the chart. So you see the headphones or the horseshoe, that's the north node. So the moon has made contact with the north node. Before that, it was making contact with Neptune, blue at 27 degrees of Pisces. Moving back further, you see Saturn at 14 degrees of Pisces. And then back at the beginning of Pisces, you see Venus at 3 degrees. So just making note, coming off of the weekend, of all of these lunar aspects that have happened, these lunar conjunctions. When the moon comes into contact with a planet, especially if it has if it's in a significant part of your chart, or depending on what you have going on, the moon can act as triggers. So if there has been a series of events, if there has been, things that have been popping off, good or bad, either way, that might be a little bit of insight like, oh, that's why this weekend was kind of the way it was. The moon has just made contact with Venus, Saturn, Neptune, and the North Node. Anytime the planet is in conjunction with one of the nodes, it's in opposition to the other, so it made an opposition to the South Node. So without going into all the delineations, just making note of all of the different interactions that the moon has had as far as a conjunction. Very, very powerful energy coming through there. So the first aspect that we're going to talk about happens tomorrow, Monday, January 6th. Mars moves back into the sign of Cancer early in the morning, 5:45 a.m. Eastern time, so 5:45 a.m. my time. So Mars is going to retrograde back into the sign of Cancer. We had Mars in the sign of Cancer through September and through October. Very early November, I actually think it was November 1st, Mars moved into the sign of Leo. So if you think back to September and October, some of the things and the themes that were coming up then, they may come back around, but they may come back around in a different way because it was direct motion, now it's retrograde motion. We talked then about how Mars in the sign of Cancer struggles a little bit. Mars in Cancer can be a little bit squabbly. It's not the sign where Mars likes to be and can do Martian things. Mars likes to take action. It likes to motivate. It likes to push. It likes to cut. It likes to sever. It likes to be brash, and it likes to do whatever needs to get done. Think of Aries and think of Capricorn. We have Mars in the sign of Cancer. Mars is in a water sign that is ruled by the moon. So that tender, loving, nurturing Cancer energy, that emotional, watery energy, that energy of protecting your homeland, that energy of familial ties, all of that is not very Mars-like energy. But that is where Mars is. So motivations regarding all of those things. There may be high emotions. There may be different motivating factors that come up. As Mars moves from Leo into the sign of Cancer, we're going to have a different focus for Mars in our chart because it's moving from one whole sign house to another whole sign house. It's moving backwards to the house that it was in. So if Mars in Leo has been in your 10th house, it's now moving back to your 9th house. So there's a whole nother level of topics and a whole different set of topics and themes that are being activated as Mars moves back into the sign of Cancer. Mars in the sign of Cancer, I said it's a water sign. There's some emotion there. There is some watery feeling type energy, and when you have Mars there, that the red planet, the hot planet, the planet that likes to move. We can have quick emotions. We can have quick shifts of mindset. We can have quick shifts of what's important to us. We can quickly be defensive over our own space. We can take actions within our own space. This is a great time for getting work done, either like around your house or taking action and things that need to be done within your family, or the topics that of whatever house Cancer is within your own chart. So Mars is going to be in Cancer for quite a while. We are going to have Mars in Cancer through the middle of April. So Mars will be retrograde until, let's see where, back to Cancer on the 6th. Yeah, so Mars is going to be retrograde until February 25th, where it'll be at 17 degrees of Cancer. So it's going to retrograde all the way back to 17 degrees. And this is gonna be happening until the end of February, February 25th. And then from the end of February until April 17th, we have Mars moving back forward. So any planets that you may have in Cancer between 17 and 29 degrees are gonna get hit by Mars 3 different times. So there's a big focus on those planets. Any planets that you have in those degrees in the sign of Capricorn are gonna get an opposition. So, yeah, big focus on the sign of Cancer, big focus in a retrograde fashion. So reworking, revisiting. So those themes that may have possibly came up through September and October of either Cancer themes or themes of the house where Cancer is within your own chart, those things are going to come back up, but they're going to come back up in a different way. They're going to come back in a way of, okay, there may be something that we need to revisit, there may be something that we need to change, or something that we need to relook at here in one way or another. When the retrograde comes back, we start to shift and we start to change our mind. We start to shift our motivations, and we shift our perspective as Mars moves from one sign to another. Perspectives may shift through retrograde through a reviewing and a revisiting and a reassigning process of some kind, where the different qualities and the different actions of Mars are going to be changing through the sign of Cancer. So, you know, maybe if we went through the sign of Cancer the first time and if there was something that was a little bit difficult that came up, or something that came up like kind of had its first round and it worked out and it worked out well, like some sort of Cancerian motivation or action. Mars is very action driven, very motivating, very very purpose driven. Then maybe now we might start to look back at those themes and those events and those areas of our lives, and we may start to refine them a little bit. When Mars comes in to a sign, and especially in a retrograde, we are very much motivated to make changes as far as the way we act, the way we do things, the way we hold ourselves. So these are the changes that we're going to be looking at through the retrograde fashion through the rest of January and February, and then March and the first half of April, it will be going back through Cancer through direct motion. So we are going to have Mars in Cancer for quite a while now. This is the long haul and the long stay. On the same day, a couple hours later, we have Mercury squaring Neptune. So Mercury is going to move into the sign of Capricorn later on this week, but not before making a square at 27 degrees of Sagittarius, with Neptune at 27 degrees of Pisces. So we have this square that comes through as Mars moves into the sign of Cancer. We can say that the two are happening simultaneously because Mercury will be in very close conjunction at the time that Mars moves into the sign of Cancer. So simultaneously, we have Mars moving into Cancer, into a difficult sign for it to be in, where it's going to review and revisit things. And then at the same time, we have a square, which is of the nature of Mars. It gives us tension. It makes us, it challenges us. It makes us uncomfortable. So that way we want to move, or we want to do something different. We want to come up with some sort of change. And the square is from Mercury, from our mind, from our thoughts, our perception, from the resources and the tools that come our way, the different paths that we see to be able to get from point A to point B. These are all mercurial things. So there is a mental tension of some sort coming through, a mental and revisiting of a bit of an emotional tension, possibly. Doesn't mean that it's going to be a bad day, but just a tension that allows us to, or shows us a perspective of where there may be some sort of change. There may be something different that is on the horizon that is coming our way. When we have Mercury squaring Neptune, there is a mental tension of inspiration, of connectedness to otherworldly topics. Neptune is a planet that connects us very, very much spiritually and religiously. And so there's a mental tension of what connects us to that divine energy, perhaps, or there could be, some need to let go mentally. There may be something that is holding us there. There's some sort of tension between Mercury and Neptune. When you have the two of them in a square, they're not quite seeing eye to eye. So there is some sort of tension between the two planets. So Neptune, the planet of inspiration, the planet of soul level connection, that gut instinct, there is something going on there. There can be this feeling that we are mentally weighed down, we are mentally disconnected, and then we need to find a way to either reconnect or we find something to connect onto. So, the illusion, the dissolution of Neptune, that smoke mirror, it's a possible that things are a little bit hard to see or hard to think things through tomorrow in the morning. So give yourself a little bit of extra time. There may be, with Neptune, you have that smoke screen that can be there, but there is also the possibility of the smoke screen clearing. So thinking of like a veil that is slightly blocking your view, where you can kind of see there's something on the other side, but you can't fully see through. As the square comes through, there may be where that smoke screen has been there and that veil has been in the way, but now the curtain opens and you can fully see what is there. That may not be that everything is rosy on the other side of the screen. It's a square, so it might be that you see something, oh, I fully see the whole picture now. I see where the inspiration is missing. I see where we need to take some mental action and have a little bit of organization. I can see where the resources may possibly come from, and now I'm re-inspired. If that smoke screen doesn't clear, if that shade does not open, then we look for letting go in other ways. And this is where you get the less positive or less desirable aspects of Neptune, where we are looking to escape from what we see in front of us. We are looking to escape from that mental tension. And that's a shift of perspective as well. So you are within this mental tension, and either you shift out of it in a positive way or you shift out of it in a negative way. Whatever is positive and negative is different for all of us. So I use those words very, I use them a lot, but there's a varying degree of what that could mean for each person. So what is a positive outcome for one person could be a negative outcome for another. So just throwing that out there. It's very varied to what your own path is and what you have going on. So week starts out with a little bit of tension. Spiritually, what makes you feel fulfilled? Emotionally, what makes you feel connected to your gut instinct and to your intuition? The square between a fire sign and a water sign, while Mars, a fiery planet that is ruled by Aries, a fire sign, and has its exaltation in Leo, another fire sign, there is lots of fire and there's lots of water at the beginning of this week. So those two things together, either the water puts the fire out or the fire and the water both flow. So the passion, the drive, the loudness of the fire, as well as the water, the emotions, the need to feel connected, that inner water and that inner river that connects and flows through humanity, from one person to another, connecting all of us through relationships, connecting us through emotional thoughts and feelings, connecting us through ethics and through morals. There's a lot of energy to start out the week here. And I see where it can allow us to shift our perspectives. Mars is the motivating planet, so the motivating perspectives can shift, and there's a very good chance that they will shift this week. So it may just be where you have been spinning your wheels and you haven't been able to find your footing to take the actions that you want to, maybe not feeling like you have the energy to do so. You could find that energy this week. You could find that motivation to, I really want to accomplish X, Y, and Z, or I really want X, Y, and Z to happen. But with the current situation and how things are, it's not going to happen. So I am motivated enough to take the actions. I am driven enough, I am ambitious enough to do what I need to do in order to get us to a place where we can take those actions. So there's a shift this week. And then including the shifts is on Wednesday, Mercury moves into the sign of Capricorn early in the morning, 5:30 a.m. I said Thursday. It's on Wednesday. So Mercury moves into the sign of Capricorn just after Mars moves into the sign of Cancer. This is another shift. So Mercury has been in Sagittarius. It has been in the fire sign, the fire sign of Jupiter, the fire sign that is very, very broad spectrum. It sees the whole picture. It is ambitious. It is optimistic. It is forward thinking. Sagittarius will encourage you to move forward and take the actions because you only live once. So you might as well go forward and you might as well do the thing. Now Mercury moves into the sign of Capricorn, and it's not all a party anymore. Now it's Capricorn, the earth sign that is ruled by Saturn. There is a much more serious focus. We are more studious. We are more ambition driven. We are more motivation driven. It's going to put us into a space where our mental realm puts us into a more focused aspect. The mind may feel like it's kind of been, I was going to say a little bit all over the place, and maybe that's been the case, but like not able to focus in on the small little details. It's seeing all of the things at one time. That can be beneficial, that can be difficult. Now as Mercury moves into the sign of Cancer, nope, not Cancer either, sorry. As Mercury's going to move into the sign of Capricorn, now there's a seriousness, now there's a focus. Now we have moved from Jupiter's abode, from the abundance, from the expansion, from the optimism, from the knowledge thirst, into the hard-working earth sign that wants to climb the mountain and it wants to keep taking the steps forward to get to whatever the goals are. Very goal-driven, very effort-driven. Capricorn energy is the energy that will keep going no matter, like even if it's killing you. Capricorn energy will just keep drugging on and keep moving on. Very, very, very motivated to attain goals. So as Mars moves back into the sign of Cancer and we have this emotionally watery charged energy going on, Mercury is focused. Mercury is driven to meet our goals. Mercury is motivated to step forward, keep putting one foot in front of the other. We will end up getting an opposition in the middle of January between the Sun and Mars, and between a little while later after that, I think towards the end of January, we will get an opposition between Mercury and Mars. So once Mercury moves into the sign of Capricorn, we do have the whole sign opposition between those two planets, and tensions may start to build between Mercury and Mars. Tensions are not always bad. Tensions allow us to, they allow us to be in a space that we can grow from. They challenge us in a way that makes us want to reach higher, makes us want to try something different. So it may not be all sunshines and roses, but it may be effective and it may be efficient. So motivating perspectives can shift, and motivating perspectives very well may shift. I put can shift because I want to leave it open. I want to leave it open to interpretation. I want you to tell me, or you to tell yourself, or you to find out how much those motivations are going to shift, or do they need to shift, or do we just need to revisit what we've already went through. So as Mercury moves into the sign of Capricorn, it's going to square the nodes. So it's going to be in a square to both the North Node and South Node. When Mercury is in square to both of the nodes, at the bending of the nodes, it's very much thinking about the path, where we've been, where we are going. Have we been fulfilled? Have we met our goals? Has the past served us well? Contemplating what has already happened and where we are going. There is a tug and a pull here between where we've been and where we're going. What we need to release and what we want to bring in. So there's this simultaneous bringing in and ushering in new things while there's a releasing process. I like this energy for this week. If there's something that you have been trying to get started, thinking about September and October, if there were like new ideas that popped up or new ambitions or new events that were happening, this is good energy to look back at that. Not necessarily where everything's nice and easy, but look back at that and say, okay, what have I learned? How did this work and how did it not work? What can I do from here? Where can I go from here? So those things that have been working at you, last week our intention was I have the courage to turn dreams into realities. So those dreams that we were talking about, those things may be coming back up into your sphere while we're talking about these things, and you might be thinking about those things here. So cool energy that we have going on here to motivate us. Motivating perspectives can shift. So there's going to be shifts, there's going to be changes. But are we motivated enough to allow ourselves to see another perspective? Maybe be able to do something slightly different. And then, tailing off of that, the card that came up for us this week is the Two of Pentacles. Two of Pentacles. So we have a duality. We have two of something here. I find that interesting with sign changes because we have like dual energy this week for both Mercury and for Mars. But the Two of Pentacles, cooperation of things that seem like they need a little bit of work to come together is the first thought that I had when I pulled this card. There is a duality in the Two of Pentacles, and it's of the physical world. So there's two things within the physical world. So they can be people, they can be events, they can be physical manifestations of a variety of energies coming together. And the Two of Pentacles makes me think of a physical duality. So there may be two different parts of your life, which there is within this Mars retrograde. There are two houses that are tied together through the actions of Mars this year, all the way through April, to be honest. And when we have these two different areas that are somewhat separated, but yet tied together in different ways, and Mars is moving back and forth between the two, it can feel like these two should be working together well, but maybe they aren't working together quite well. You'd have to look at the houses for yourself to kind of like analyze this afterwards. So it's like these two signs, these two houses have not quite reconciled yet, but they're going to. The Two of Pentacles tells me that they're going to. And by the end of this Mars retrograde, by the time Mars moves like into the sign of Virgo, things are going to be a lot different on the other side for a lot of people. Not absolutely everybody. It definitely depends on your own chart. But there's going to be a lot of changes for a lot of people depending on where this hits within your life and within your chart. So cool energy for shifting, cool energy for our motivations and our perspective shifting. Mars is our motivations. Mercury is our perceptions and our perspectives. The mental realm and the motivating realm, the fiery realm. So that's what we have as far as the astrology that we have going on this week, and cool shifts that we have. So as we move into our meditation portion, thinking about if there's anything that's come up for you, whether we were working with it last week or when you think back to September and October, thinking about things that were started, initiating different motivations. Keep that in your mind during this meditation if there's anything that comes up. If there's not, that's okay too. Just following along works out just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the intention up for just one more moment here for everybody to see. Motivating perspectives can shift. Motivating perspectives can shift. All right, so motivating perspectives can shift. Okay, so we are going to move into the meditation portion of our session tonight. Like I already mentioned, I'm going to get the intention off there. Okay, take one last look at it if you need to. Motivating perspectives can shift. Remember that they're always on social media and the website if you ever want to look back. Like I mentioned, we have a green candle tonight in honor of our little friend that has passed on. Usually it's a white candle, so we will get back to those white candles here very, very quickly. But honoring our little friend that has passed on and honoring what my oldest daughter is going through, losing her first pet today. So thank you for allowing me the space to be able to do that. Okay, so we're going to start by lighting the intentional candle. And as I light the intentional candle, I encourage you or invite you to recite the intentional phrase with me. So whether you're able to say it out loud, whether you're able to say it in your head, whether you want to write it down on a piece of paper so that way you have it with you all week. I write it down on a sticky note that I keep in front of me while I'm prepping for the meditation, and then I take the sticky note and I put it near my desk. That's why I use the sticky note, so that way I can pin it to my computer, and every time I go to my computer, I see it. I also write it in my planner, my agenda, my calendar for the week, so that way I have it nearby. So I'm going to light our intentional candle. Flame ignites. As the flame ignites, it begins to grow. As the flame grows, so does our intention. Motivating perspectives can shift. Motivating perspectives can shift. A shift can be full-on change. A shift can be moving to the next level or to the next level higher expression of something. A shift just indicates that there's something different than there was before. It can be subtle, it can be dramatic. That is partially up to each and every one of us, and partially up to the path that we are walking here on this earth right now. So, motivating perspectives can shift. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes if you're ready to do so. Before you do that, make sure you're in a nice comfortable seated position, laying down, sitting up, whatever works well for you within the space that you are in and the capabilities that you have at this moment. So find your comfortable seat, comfortable position, and if you're ready to go ahead and close your eyes, I invite you to do so. If you're not quite ready to close your eyes yet, that's okay too. We can just soften the gaze, maybe peer down towards our nose, past the bridge of our nose, and onto a surface that is in front of us, and we can soften our gaze to not focus quite so deeply. And then when you're ready, go ahead and close your eyes. Motivating perspectives can shift. We have planetary shifts this week. We have aspects that shift our motivations. We have aspects that allow us to contemplate where we've been, where we're going, and perhaps that can shift your perspective within its own right. So as we come into this meditation, we always start by making a little space for the breath and the level of energy that you came to this meditation with. So, as you start to settle into your own space, I invite you to take a moment to notice your breath. Here at first, I don't want you to try to change or alter your breath. Do your best to refrain from passing any judgments of the quality of your breath. Just observe and notice. Notice how fulfilling your breath feels at the moment. Again, not passing judgment, not coming to any conclusions other than observing how the breath feels. And then once you've taken a moment to feel your breath, you can start to put words, terms, phrases. You can start defining it. Does your breath feel full and complete? Or does it feel shallow? Does it feel like it's lacking somehow? Are you able to breathe deeply? Or does your breath feel shallow? Does it feel slow and relaxed? Or does it feel rushed and fast? Again, not passing any judgment, only observing, noticing, and honoring. Honoring your breath and the level of energy that you have showed up to this meditation with. Because all of the events of the day, of the weekend, of the week, of the month, of the season, of the year, of this life, has brought you to the space you are in right now. And just as the planetary alignments shift, we too can shift the quality of our breath. Noticing, recognizing, honoring. There is plenty of time and space for shifting and changing. So for now, we're in a space of noticing and honoring. Once you've taken a moment to honor where you are at this time, I invite you to start to deepen the breath. Here, as you take your next inhale, I encourage you to let your only goal be to have the inhale be slightly longer than the inhale that came before it. Once you've taken in a nice inhale, pausing for just a moment at the top of the breath, we start to release through the exhale. Here, you deepen the exhale, and as you do so, your goal is for the exhale to be slightly deeper and release slightly more air than the one that came before it. As you take your next deep breath in, you feel that same goal motivating within you. The inhale will be slightly deeper, bring in slightly more air, and be slightly more energizing than the inhale that came before it. Slow, steady progress. Slow, steady shifts. Mars is moving so slow right now. Slow, steady motivation that is in the process of shifting. As you continue the process of breathing in and out, deepening each inhale and exhale slightly, I ask you to consider what motivations are shifting within you. Where is your desire to be seen, to feel connected, to feel that you are contributing in the way that feels most fit? What is shifting within you? Have you taken time to let your light shine? Have you taken time to connect to others? Have you been allowed that time? Are there shifts happening within your family? Leo is the place of the sun, the place where the heart shines forth so very brightly, light shining forth so much that it illuminates others and inspires their light to shine forward. What actions have you taken to not only let your light shine forward, but also the light of others? Now as Mars moves back into the sign of Cancer, the emotional water sign of the moon, tides of connection, tides of emotion, tides of feelings, tides of intuition that can shift as quickly as the moon shifts. In fact, over these next couple months, be a great time to start tracking the moon if that's not something you have a practice of. Noticing how the moon moving through the different signs affects your life as it moves through different houses and different themes. When you start noticing, paying attention, your perspective can shift. As Mars moves back into the sign of Cancer, I ask you to consider, how do you care for yourself as well as others? Self-care, revisiting those processes and those habits that you have. There's a possibility that self-care may be a real theme in the next couple months. Revisiting our routines, revisiting how we show up for ourselves and how we show up for others. Motivating perspectives can shift. In fact, as Mars moves from the sign of Leo, the sign of the sun, the sovereign, the soul, the universal intelligence, God, there could be a focus on the self, of the personal light. As Mars moves back into the sign of Cancer, a sign that cares deeply for everyone, the entire clan, the entire group, the entire family. The nurturer, the mother, the life giver. Mercury is shifting this week as well, moving from the sign of Sagittarius, where it makes it square to Neptune. How do you feel connected? How do you feel disconnected? Are you connecting through a healthy, sustainable way? Then the shift happens. Mercury moves into the sign of Capricorn. Stick-to-itness. Those motivations that are shifting, those perspectives that are shifting. Mercury in the sign of Capricorn will do the hard work. Mentally, could be draining. Could be ambitious. I invite you to take a nice deep breath in as you contemplate all of this energy surrounding us. The symbolic nature of the planets and of the signs and their motions gives us some clues as to what the future could hold or where we could shift our perspective to. It tells us this is the direction, this is the general direction things are going. There is a spectrum within that direction of experiences that will be had. As you contemplate all of this that is around us, I invite you to picture yourself walking down a path, noticing the terrain, noticing the beauty that is around you. The weather is perfect, exactly as you would like it. Surroundings are serene and calm. And you keep walking, noticing and taking in all that is around you. You're so preoccupied with looking at all of the beauty, all of the glory that is around you, that you don't quite notice the curve and the turn that is swiftly made. Just like you may not quite notice that shift that happens overnight tonight as Mars moves from Leo into Cancer. And as you come around that bend, you notice that the terrain is very similar. And it almost seems like it's the same, but there's something that's slightly different. Something that lets you know that you are not looking at the same surroundings that you were looking at before, although it looks familiar. It looks like you've been here before. You continue moving on along your path, knowing that you are walking the road that you are meant to be walking. You are right where you are meant to be at any given time. That doesn't mean that you can't progress. That doesn't mean that your motivations and your perspectives can't shift just because you're on the right path. You can progress forward. You can digress backward if that's your choosing. You continue moving forward, and then you notice up ahead you see the place where you started your walk, and you realize that you just walked this whole circle without even realizing it. This circle is the movement of Mars. moving through the path. First time noticing, taking things in, enjoying. Second time you come back around, take the curve. You're seeing the same trees, but you're seeing them from a different perspective. You're seeing them from the other side. So if you saw those trees looking west, you now see them looking east. And then as you stand at this place where you started, where you once were before, you think about all that you have gained as you've walked this path. And just as Mars is going to revisit the degrees of Cancer from 17 to 29, not one more time, but 2 more times over the next several months. You realize all that you have learned, all that you've brought in, before you revisit. You've been here before, you've seen the terrain, you even know that bend is up ahead. There may be some conflicts, there may be some squabbles, there may be some challenges along the way. But just as squares and oppositions give us space to grow from, space to move forward from, space to contemplate from, so do these shifts. I invite you to take one last deep breath in with me, breathing in through the inhale, pausing together at the top of the breath before releasing. That felt so good. Let's do one more. Breathing in and release. Thank you, thank you, thank you, all of you, for being here with me. Thank you for joining me, not only to be here for yourself, for me, but also for all of those that are joining with us. When we all come together at this meditative space, whether it's at the same time or whether you're catching this on a replay because you're busy Sunday night, we're all tapping into that same energy. And as we tap into that same energy, it adds to the energy. So then things shift, things start to move forward. There's a supportive energy that builds. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. Interesting things that are happening this week. There are shifts, there are changes. Mars moving into the sign of Cancer, Mercury moving into the sign of Capricorn. That puts these two in a whole sign opposition. They will come into the exact opposition later on. We will talk about that when the time comes. So there may be some pitting against or some tension between our motivations and our mental processes. There may be times where you feel like I can't quite handle what Mars is revisiting and reviewing and reorganizing, rearranging, reconfiguring. Mars is not afraid to change. Mars is not afraid to cut, not afraid to sever, not afraid to move forward in whatever way it needs to be done. Think of Aries, think of Leo. Mercury in the sign of Capricorn is motivated. It wants to move forward. It wants to take the next step. It's very goal-oriented. It's very effort-driven. That's the energy that we have. The Two of Pentacles that came up for us this week. There is a duality of energy. Now, that duality can come together or it can separate. So, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for being here. I'm going to put the intention up once more. Take the intention with you through this week and see how it guides you. Revisit it. look at it at the end of the week before you see the new intention that is released released on Saturday on Facebook, Instagram, and meditativeastrology.com. There is always a Facebook event for each week's meditation. So if you are somebody who would like to join, but maybe things tend to slip your mind because you're busy like most of us are, go ahead and go on Facebook and, respond that you're interested to the event for next week. And then you'll get a Facebook reminder for the event if you are somebody that is on social media somewhat regularly. Please remember to like, follow, subscribe, all the things. Share the meditation with those that you think will benefit from it. I really love starting out the week this way, where we lean into the energies in a positive way. We see how we can work with the energies. Of course, some things are going to play out positively, some things are going to be a little bit less positive. So that is all a part of the path and the chart and what is all going on. But we can start out this week by looking at the energies in a collaborative way. So that's what I like about this meditation. So thank you for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope you all have a absolute great week. Again, thank you. Mwah. Have a good week, and I will see you next Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. All right. Bye, everybody.